This segment is brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And whenever we'd like to get updates from what's happening in all of Assumption Parish, we turn our attention to Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office with Commander Lonnie Cavalier. Commander, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Keith, thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I know we got quite a few to go over. Let's talk about this first one with Miss Tiffany Lynn Tatum.
Yes, Tiffany Lynn Tatum, 45, of 634 Michelle Road, Pierre Park, was arrested on felony drug and gun law violations arising from a traffic stop on LE 70 in Pierre Park. A uniformed patrol deputy assigned to the ICE detail observed an eastbound vehicle with an equipment violation and executed a stop of that vehicle. The deputy made contact with the driver, now identified as Tiffany Lynn Tatum, and engaged Tatum in an officer violator interview. At the conclusion of that interview, the deputy believed additional investigation was warranted. The deputy requested and was granted consent to search the vehicle. During that search, deputies seized methamphetamine, marijuana derivatives, a handgun, and assorted drug paraphernalia. Tiffany Lynn Tatum was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of possession of methamphetamine, prohibited acts, Schedule 1, possession of a controlled dangerous substance, 2 cannabinoid derivatives, illegal possession of a firearm in the presence of controlled dangerous substances, possession of drug paraphernalia, conspiracy to possess and distribute Schedule 2 controlled dangerous substances, obstruction of justice, and proper equipment required on vehicles. Tiffany Lynn Tatum was released on a $100,000 bond just a few minutes ago.
Okay, thank you very much, Commander. Let's turn our attention to this threat of self-harm report.
Yes, on Sunday evening, deputies responded to a complaint at a residence near South Holly Road in Labrador in reference to a welfare concern which arose from a domestic incident. Deputies spoke to family members who were concerned with the relatives, which was a female, with her well-being. Deputies spoke to the female in question and learned that she was armed and threatening self-harm if approached by anyone. Members of the crisis negotiations team, detectives, deputies, and members of the sheriff's office administrative staff responded to the incident, as well as communications officers who were vital in maintaining communication with the individual. For a period of time, the female was traveling on the roadway in a vehicle. At some point, Sheriff Leland Falcon ordered a controlled stop of the vehicle in the area of LA 1010 and LA 1011 due to little to no traffic present, as well as no homes in the near vicinity. Sheriff's officials continued negotiating with the distressed female and were successful in having her surrender her firearm and bringing the matter to a safe conclusion without any harm to the individual or to law enforcement. The individual was transported to a healthcare facility in Baton Rouge for evaluation and treatment. Sheriff Falcon commends all of his employees who were present and vital in bringing this to a successful conclusion.
Yeah, I have to agree. As a social worker, it makes me very happy that you guys were able to get a safe conclusion to that situation. So thank you as well. Let's talk about these financial crimes of Mr. Michael Washington.
Yes, Michael Washington, 46 of 5501 Aikens Drive in Metairie, Louisiana, was arrested on felony financial crimes originating in Napoleonville in late June of 2024. On August 29, 24, deputies responded to a complaint in which the victim indicated that someone had gained possession of 2 of his personal checks by fraudulent means, and those checks were cashed by unknown individuals. Detectives initiated an investigation and secured search warrants for the relevant accounts. Detectives learned that an individual now identified as Michael Washington had cashed one of the checks in question at a financial institution in Metairie. The second check was cashed at that location as well. As the investigation progressed, detectives were able to locate an individual identified as Michael Washington as being incarcerated in Jefferson Parish. Detectives confirmed that Michael Washington, who cashed the checks, and Michael Washington, who was incarcerated, were indeed one and the same. Detectives interviewed Michael Washington at the correctional facility he was incarcerated at and secured sufficient probable cause to obtain arrest warrants for Michael Washington. On September 23rd of 25, the Louisiana Department of Corrections notified the Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office and advised that Michael Washington was in their custody and ready for release. Michael Washington was returned to Assumption Parish on September 26 and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of bank fraud, forgery, and identity theft. He remains incarcerated pending a bond hearing.
Thank you very much, Commander. And lastly, we talk a little bit about Mr. Thomas, Miss Thomas.
Yes, Renisha Keishel Thomas, 34 of 2440 North Albert Street, Lutcher, Louisiana, was arrested on felony charges originating from an incident which occurred in Napoleonville on Saturday evening. A uniformed patrol deputy observed a group of individuals in the area of Jefferson Street engaged in a back and forth argument and stopped to investigate. The deputies dispersed the group and resumed patrol. A short time later, a deputy was flagged down and advised that a physical fight had just occurred. Upon investigation, the deputy learned that several juveniles were engaged in a fight when an adult female, now identified as Renisha Keishel Thomas, had participated in the fight and had committed a battery upon one or more juveniles. Multiple persons involved in the fight indicated that Renisha Keishel Thomas was armed with a knife. Deputies were able to view video footage of a portion of that incident. At the conclusion of the investigations, deputies charged 3 juveniles ages 13, 14, and 15 with disturbing the peace and released them to guardians. Renisha Keishel Thomas was arrested. When Thomas was presented for booking, correctional officers located a knife concealed on her person. Renisha Keishel Thomas was booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges introducing contraband to and from a penal institution, simple battery, disturbing the peace, and contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile. Renisha Keishel Thomas remains incarcerated pending a bail hearing.
Commander, we appreciate it very much. Thanks for getting that all in right underneath the gun. We thank you for everything. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us. Appreciate
Yes,
what
sir.
y'all do.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. I got a whole lot more right here on HTV.
This segment was brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker.